Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. Ada for calling out my buddy for cheating in front of his wife. Despite the fact that the title seems to be more basic than it really is, my buddy and I have known one another since middle school. We are now 35 years old, and he has always been a serial cheater. He's been having relations with his secretary for about a year now. I've been aware of it throughout the whole process. He likes to brag. I hadn't informed his wife or any of his previous GF when he was cheating on them. Until this point, it was just one of those instances where I stated, not my life, not my care, as in not my life, not my issue. In order to avoid this, we got into a brawl last night while visiting a local brewery. It proceeded to increase, and he began to administer some low blows that irked me to the point of being offensive. At least I'm not beating on the secretary's door behind my wife's back. I cried, fully out of frustration, as his wife sat right next to him. It is not a good idea to inform someone that they have been cheated on, but does it make a difference what the situation is? Edit 1. Because many elderly individuals have inquired. I brought it up when he accused my wife and myself of infertility. Edit 2. He seems to have acknowledged to the infidelity when she left to be with her sister. My friend and I apologized to each other, but I'm not sure our relationship will last. I apologized to his wife, and she thanked me for being honest. When he apologized to my wife, she told him to F off. Edit 3. I'm now receiving comments from strangers expressing how delighted they are that my wife, who is now reading these, and I can't have children. Story 2. Ada for telling my BAL that he's incredibly unfunny and not minding my own business. Justin is my nephew and I, a 35-year-old girl, am quite close to him, 17 male. Justin was one of those privileged and brat children you hear about, and he had absolutely no respect for anybody or anything. As much as I hate bringing this up about innocent youngsters, he was a pain to be around. My sister and her husband were often found to be justifying or promoting his actions. Despite the fact that I informed his parents of my dissatisfaction with him, they seemed unconcerned. In order to better understand what BAL means when he says, "You don't even like Justin," the following paragraph was added. Anyway, I haven't seen my sister since she moved to Canada. We're both British. When Justin was around 13 years old, we're both British. I'm now staying with them. I've been here for a few weeks now, due to family obligations, and I haven't had the opportunity to chat with Justin yet, since he is never at home, but he has been quite accommodating. I questioned my sister, sometimes jokingly, sometimes seriously, about it, and she became enraged, telling me to mind my own business and to stop bothering her. In any case, Justin wore this sweater home from school the day before. His mother remarked that it was a girl's brand and questioned him as to why he was wearing it in the first place. He said that he had gone to school in a thin shirt and that it had been chilly, so his girlfriend gave him an extra sweater that she had in her possession. I tried to change the topic since the little child seemed to be embarrassed by what he was saying, but his father interrupted me and burst out laughing. "Don't you think you're the man in the relationship?" Dad shared his thoughts. "Can you tell me what you're doing her sweatshirt?" He claimed to be joking, but I thought it to be disrespectful. Justin was already feeling self-conscious, and he was worsening the problem. The question is, I've met your girlfriend before and she's little. Why, then, is her sweater so huge on you? BAL went on to say more. Does it seem like it's time to go to the gym? I believed he had over the line with his borderline body shaming, so I intervened and inquired as to whether this was an effort at a joke on his part. He said it was. Bill urged me to take it easy and that he was just joking around. As a consequence, I declared him to be a really unfunny person. Due to some unknown reason, this annoyed him much, and he told me that I was being unfair and that I didn't like Justin in the first place, so I should mind my own business. Despite my protests, my sister ordered me to F off, and so I'm now sitting in my guest room, absolutely befuddled by what's going on. Justin left the house after changing his clothing and returned late at night to pick up his belongings. In any case, thank you, Reddit. Thank you, Ada, for standing up for Justin despite the fact that it was none of my business. However, my BAL believes that I am, and in fact, I find the circumstance silly, and my sister wants me to apologize if I want to stay with them. Update. It has been brought to my knowledge that the problem is much more severe than I had anticipated. I apologize for any inconvenience. Soon after I finished writing and publishing the post, my sister stormed into my room and collapsed on the floor, declaring that her life had been wrecked and that everything she had ever done in it had been a mistake. Fortunately, since there was no one else in the home, they were unable to hear what she said, but it was still upsetting. She was in a foul mood at the time. In her own words, she felt herself a failure and a terrible mother, claiming that she was the reason Justin was never able to spend time with them. He admitted to her that he had a crush on someone, and she quickly notified her father-in-law, who became furious. He yelled some cruel things at the youngster, who was roughly 13 years old at the time, and she did nothing to protect him from the repercussions of his actions. He was arrested. Despite my efforts, she continues to be perplexed every time her father-in-law jokes about it, and my standing up to him prompts her to giggle. Because I didn't want to interrupt her by saying, "Yes, you are a failure," I simply let her ramble on until she became fatigued, but I was stunned by what she had said and how she had expressed herself. Following that, I took the decision to pay attention to everyone's suggestions. I asked Justin if he would like to join me for lunch before he left the home to go wherever he was legally authorized to go since he had a few days off from school. The man was first reluctant, but he ultimately consented, and we went out to eat. Despite the fact that I did not question or challenge him about what his mother had said, as I previously said, it was not my place to do so. I did urge him to come to me if he ever felt uncomfortable or insecure, and that he should do so immediately. It didn't matter that I had returned to the United Kingdom. I was always only a phone call away from being accessible. When he realized that he wasn't amusing, he grinned and expressed appreciation to me for informing his father of the situation. When we poked fun at his father's ego, Justin felt a lot more at ease by the time we were through with the session. You see, while we are no longer the best of friends, we have been spending a lot of time together in recent months. Even his hair, we're both naturally curly, and we're the only ones in the family who has gotten a little assistance from me on occasion. I've even met his wonderful fiancée, who adores shopping for XXL sweatshirts at his favorite boutiques, which I've learned about from him. In spite of the fact that my in-laws are displeased by my presence, they haven't said anything other than calling me the day before last. In addition, he hasn't spoken anything more to Justin since the event happened, which is unusual. After a few days' absence, my sister is back to her acerbic self, almost as if she had not experienced a mental breakdown the previous week, which she did. Despite all of the rhetoric about regret, little is being done to really address it. It's a shame that this has happened. It seems that I'm communicating well with her since she did not reprimand me after she informed me of this. In spite of the fact that there wasn't much of a commotion, I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of Justin's awareness, that I am on his side, and that he is presently protected in the event that anything happens while I'm here, another few weeks. Aside from that, I'm making plans for when I return to work. The fact that his parents' disapproval has driven him to alter so abruptly is a tragedy, especially given that he is a kind boy. To be honest, I prefer the enthusiastic and joyous child to the polite and fearful one, and I'm not the only one who feels this way. For being concerned about him, I thank you for your assistance, and I appreciate your taking the time to react to my previous post. Edit: a number of you have expressed grave worries regarding my nephew and sister's relationship with my mother-in-law. I'm going to do all in my power to aid them both in getting out of this situation. Furthermore, I want to make every effort to continue to reside in Canada for as long as possible until I am certain that they are protected. Thank you so much for taking the time to express your concern.